I never imagined I'd become the man at the center of a neighborhood storm. All I wanted after retiring from the State Department of Environmental Protection was quiet mornings on the water, the sun rising over Still Lake, and the distant call of loons echoing across the mist. I'd earned it after 31 years of enforcing rules, inspecting wetlands, and standing in courtrooms against developers who treated laws like suggestions. My name is Henry Whitaker, and in 1999, I bought 2 acres of shoreline and woods in the northeastern corner of Pinewood County, up in northern Michigan. The lake was small but deep, spring-fed, and fully private, protected by state conservation statutes. It curved around my land like a silver horseshoe. The place came with an old boathouse, a sturdy dock, and enough room for the modest one-story house I built with big windows and a screened porch facing the water. Locals still called it Whitaker's Bend, after some old-timer who fished there generations ago. I liked the name. It felt like history without the noise. For more than 20 years, life was simple. I cleared brush by hand each spring, kept the trails open, stocked the lake with native fish from licensed hatcheries, and occasionally let the local canoe club paddle through. No loud boats, no crowds, just me, the land, and the water. Then the orange flags appeared. At first, I thought someone had wandered off trail and left survey markers behind. Bright plastic triangles flapping in the breeze along my northern tree line. I pulled them out and tossed them in the garage. A week later, more showed up, stakes spray-painted fluorescent. Then 2 men in hard hats walked the ridge, peering through the trees toward my lake like they already owned the view. "Can I help you?" I called from the porch, coffee in hand. "Just surveying for the new community expansion," one said. "Pine Ridge HOA is moving onto the old Harlan farm. Shouldn't bother you, sir." But I knew it would. I'd heard about the Harlan sale, an abandoned cattle pasture auctioned off to a developer group calling themselves Pine Ridge Estates. Luxury gated homes, clubhouse, trails, and shared lake access. The problem? There was no shared lake. Not unless they planned to force their way onto mine. It started small. Mailers arrived offering to welcome neighboring properties into the community. I ignored them. Then emails, then door knockers. A young woman in a neat blazer stood on my porch one afternoon. "You have an incredible resource here, Mr. Whitaker," she said. "We'd love to make the lake a centerpiece for the neighborhood." I pointed to the framed deed above the fireplace. "It's private, protected, not for sale or sharing." She smiled tightly. Sometimes old deeds need updating. By late spring, heavy machinery growled through the trees. Trucks hauled lumber and concrete. From my dock, I watched a steel frame rise just beyond the line. A big pavilion with a deck jutting toward the water, picnic tables, a kayak ramp, signs promising community shoreline access. The shoreline they pointed to was mine. The trees they felled for better views had roots on my side. Runoff from their grading muddied my fish spawning channel. I called the county. Submitted complaints with title maps and GPS points. The clerk shrugged. They filed for a recreational structure permit on their parcel. "Unless you prove it crosses the boundary." "I can prove it," I said, sliding over my 2003 survey, stamped by a licensed state surveyor. "Then you'll need a lawyer," she replied. That night, I stood on the dock staring at the half-built eyesore. A cold anger settled in my chest. Not hot rage, but the steady burn I'd felt in my enforcement days when someone thought rules didn't apply to them. I'd spent a career protecting resources from greed. I wasn't about to watch an HOA turn my lake into their backyard pool. The next morning, I drove to the Pinewood County Recorder's office. In 10 minutes, I had the full file on Pine Ridge. Parcel records, easements, permits. The clerk, a woman named Ellen who'd remembered me from old fieldwork days, raised an eyebrow at the stack I requested. "Somebody stepped on your toes?" she asked. "They're building on land they don't own," I said. She pulled up the plans. "Here's the blueprint for the gathering pavilion with water amenities. Wait, this line crosses parcel 87A. That's not theirs." "No," I said. "That's mine." Ellen looked up. "Then they're building illegally." I left with printouts and scans. At home, I laid everything out. My survey, their site plan, county GIS aerials. The deck and path spilled 30 feet over my line. They'd cleared protected shoreline vegetation under state wetland rules. It wasn't sloppy. It was deliberate. I called Pine Ridge HOA. Got transferred to Susan Grant, Director of Community Development. "Mr. Whitaker," she said cheerfully. "How can I help?" "Stop building your playground on my property." Silence. Then, "I don't understand." I listed it. Parcel numbers, surveys, no easement, wetland violations, runoff damage. "We've consulted our legal team," she said. "They confirm we're within bounds." "You're wrong. Keep going and you'll face a state demolition order." Her tone sharpened. "If you keep making accusations, we'll involve counsel." I almost laughed. "Please do." A glossy newsletter arrived soon after, addressed to Lakeside residents. Front page, a rendering of the pavilion with paddleboards, picnics, banner reading, "Your lake, your lifestyle, coming summer 2025. Your lake. They were so accustomed to getting their way they hadn't checked if the lake was even public. Trucks returned, pouring concrete for pilings. I crossed the tree line and stepped into view. "Hey, you can't be here," a worker said. I pointed to the survey ribbon at my feet. "You're on my land." He muttered, "Talk to the board," and walked off. So I did. At the next HOA meeting in their sales trailer, I wore my old field jacket with the faded state patch. 6 board members in matching polos sat up front. Susan Grant in the center. During public comment, I stood. "Henry Whitaker, owner of parcel 87A bordering your development. Your contractors have cleared trees and built 30 feet onto my property." Susan smiled. "We've reviewed with legal. We're within rights." "Incorrect. I have state surveys and GIS data. The water board is reviewing my complaint." A red-faced man, Carl Benson, leaned forward. "You're threatening us?" "I'm warning you. Violations carry fines over $50,000 if you don't remove it." The room went quiet. Susan's smile slipped. "Our lawyers will contact you." Back home, I filed the formal complaint online with every document. Surveys, photos, maps, damage reports. Listed wetlands disruption, unauthorized construction in the riparian zone, private property violation. 3 weeks passed. The pavilion grew, painted, furnished, landscaped with imported stone and lights. They held a soft opening barbecue. Kids ran down the path. I'd clear myself. Then, Monday morning, 3 state SUVs rolled up. Dana Marshall from the State Water Resources Control Board stepped out, badge gleaming, followed by agents, surveyors, drone operator. "Mr. Whitaker," she said, shaking my hand. "We're here to verify your complaint." I led them to the boundary. Carl Benson stormed over in a suit. "You can't just walk onto HOA property." Dana turned. "We're here under state water protection statutes. Your site is subject to review for encroachment and regulated water proximity." "No warrant," he snapped. She showed the digital order. "Administrative inspection on disputed parcels doesn't require one." He fumed and left. The inspection confirmed everything. 32 feet encroachment, unpermitted grading, vegetation removal in the 100-foot buffer, sediment in spawning areas. Dana's jaw tightened. This is willful overreach. Over the next week, more specialists arrived, wetlands experts, fish and wildlife, soil erosion. County Code Enforcement opened a review. Pine Ridge fought back. Flyers called me a disgruntled neighbor hoarding a public resource. Social media accused me of blocking progress. I stayed silent. 2 weeks later, a yellow state notice was posted on the pavilion door. 7 violations, 3 with $10,000 daily fines retroactive. Structure must be removed within 30 days. No appeal. The next board meeting packed the room with angry residents. Families facing higher dues for legal fees and penalties turned on the board. "You built on land that wasn't ours," one shouted. "Why didn't you check boundaries?" another demanded. Carl stood, sweating. Maps were unclear. I spoke quietly from the back. "They weren't unclear. They were wrong. And you were warned multiple times before concrete was poured." Silence. I left. A few residents followed, offering apologies, asking about property rights. The HOA doubled down. They held a ribbon cutting anyway. Scissors, red ribbon, bluegrass band, kids with lanterns on my cleared path. State agents watched from a distance, documenting. Dana called later. They threw a party on a condemned structure. Fines now at $130,000. We're referring to the Attorney General for willful noncompliance. Criminal if it continues. Emails flooded HOA inboxes. Residents posted screenshots in the community group. Why are my dues paying for this? A desperate flyer apologized vaguely and promised cooperation. Too late. Susan requested a meeting. We sat at a picnic table halfway between properties. Henry, she began. We regret escalation. Perhaps a joint maintenance agreement. Shared access for recognition of your deed. You're offering me access to my own lake? She blinked. Shared use. No, you don't get use. You don't get to build next to it. Nothing. She closed her binder. This won't look good for us. It already doesn't. Word spread. Residents knocked on my door. Lot sizes short, boundaries wrong, encroachments. I walked lines with them, showed how to request records. I became the unofficial guide to truth. I compiled a master dossier, timeline, photos, HOA ads using my lake in marketing. Channel 12 aired it. Drone footage showed cleared trees, eroded shore, deserted pavilion padlocked with state seals. The board's legal firm dropped them. Listings dropped, lake access. Values dipped. State investigation widened. Retention pond, leaching fertilizer, algae blooms, other encroachments on greenbelts. My petition for permanent conservation designation advanced. Settlement offer arrived. Easement fee, public apology, delayed removal. I wrote back one line. Deadline passed. Patience has not. Final enforcement. Demolish, restore land under supervision. Fines continue. Demolition began quietly. Backhoe, flatbed, workers in vests. Cedar slats unscrewed, windows removed, beams hauled away. Residents watched. One woman whispered thanks as she passed. Internal emails leaked. Board knew months earlier the land was mine, but gambled I'd settle. Board dissolved. Dues doubled for some. Family sold. I replanted natives, sedges, ferns, wildflowers. Frogs returned. Their chorus filled the nights again. State approved my conservation zone. No development within 100 feet, ever. One evening a boy biked up. Mom says the lake's yours. It's pretty. Can I draw it for school? Anytime, I said. The last truck left on a rainy Friday. I stood in the clearing, scarred earth healing under straw, water lapping untouched rock. The fight ended not with noise, but silence. The land remembered, and now it was quiet again. What do you think? Have you ever dealt with an HOA that crossed the line, or seen power abused in your own neighborhood? Share your stories in the comments, especially your thoughts on standing up to injustice, even when it feels like you're alone. Where do you draw the line between community rules and personal rights? I'd love to hear your take.